Hey guys, Dr. Brandon Manny. Today's video, we're talking about lunch talks. And so I'm going to show you the exact system that I used for a long time, and I've done hundreds and hundreds of lunch talks. I've done over 100 just at dental offices alone. I'm going to show you that system. I'm going to show you the trick to getting into almost all of them. It's a state-by-state thing, so we'll get into it. But this is a text I got yesterday from a doc. He's like, hey, I want to start doing talks at dental offices or wherever it's effective. And so I'll give you some ideas and some suggestions. But guys, before we get into it, before we get into the content here, make sure you subscribe. Right? Make sure you ring the bell so that you're notified each time I make a new video. Okay. This talk, by the way, for me, it started with ergonomics. My mom was a hygienist. She was a dental hygienist for about 25 years. Then for about 10 years, she taught it at a college. So she told me, she was like, you should go do lunch talks, but bring them CE credit. Where I'm at in the state of Minnesota, you don't have to have any special training or credentials to provide a CE credit for hygienists and assistants. Okay, now I'm not talking dentists, I'm talking hygienists and assistants. So I created a flyer, right? It's going to look like this, and if you want it, I can get it to you. Free lunch and a free 1 hour CE credit. So that got me into over 100 of them, just within a probably a 20-mile radius, 25-mile radius. So that's what's going to separate you from everybody else out there who's wanting to bring them free lunch. If you can bring them lunch, like Jimmy John's. So like for me, I brought them Jimmy John's. I would give them a sign-up sheet and say, write down a number. I want a number 2. I want a number 5, a 6. So they write down all these numbers. We'd call it in. We go get it, pick it up. Here's a big box of sandwiches. Set it on the table, they grab their sandwich, we're off to the races. If it's a bigger group, like I did talks for hygiene schools and assisting schools, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, where there's like 30, 35 people, in which case, platter, right? Get a big old platter where it's a little bit of turkey, a little bit of ham, veggie, whatever else. So if it's a big operation, like 20, 25, 30 people, then just get a platter. But if it's a smaller, 5, 10, 15, just get sandwiches as is. So CE credit, that's so check with your state, right? It's a state board. Check with their dental hygiene board, and determine if, hey, can I offer hygienists and assistants a free 1 hour CE credit if I go into their business and I talk about stretches. What got me in there was stretches, ergonomics, posture, sitting, basically to keep them healthy despite a ergonomically challenging profession. Right, that is what got me into a lot of them. But then also, I would transition. So the first 30 minutes of this thing was that, right? It was stretches, ergonomics, posture. But then I would transition into the functional medicine side, and I'll talk about that as we go along here. But where else? So dental office is awesome. Ortho is awesome. I've done a lot of ortho clinics, vet clinics. By the way, here's a tip. Vet clinics are very medical, so don't talk about vaccines. Whatever you do, don't talk about vaccines. It will not end well. All right, so I'll just word of caution: don't get on a vaccine rant at a vet clinic. Real estate, so realty offices, done a few of those. A lot of people there, and I'll talk about this. This is the first realty. This is what transitioned me into functional medicine full blown, and I'll talk about that as we finish up here. So call centers, insurance offices, hygiene assisting schools. Basically, you want to go wherever people take a lunch at the same time. Banks are bad because they're coming and going. They have to keep the place up, functional. So it's like, hey, we lock the doors at 12. We open it up at 2. Those make ideal spots for you to go in, bring them lunch. And what gives you an edge for the dental industry is if you're in a state that say, hey, I'm gonna bring you 1 hour CE, and I'm gonna bring you free lunch. Who would ever turn that down? So basically, for us, the system was we'd send the flyer, right? This is what the flyer looks like: eat well, work well, live well, whatever this flyer looks like, right? I haven't done these in a few years, but free lunch talk, and free 1 hour of continuing ed credit basically, and then we have the bullet points. Okay, how to lose weight, and we talk about inflammation, we talk about cravings and exercise, and inflammate, the whole 9 yards. And then we have buy at the bottom. And so this is the flyer, the front and back flyer. Send that out. By the way, guys, if you want this, if I get enough engagement on this post, if you comment below and say, hey, give me your flyer, if we get enough interest, I'll find a way. I can't, send it through YouTube or anything like that. So and I'm not going to sit and email these out all day, but I'll create a one-page form where you can just, here's the URL, go download it yourself. So if you want that, just throw a comment in the comment section below. Say, hey, yes, I want the flyer. Okay, so, and if I get enough interest, I'll load it for you guys, and it'll make sense. But here's the thing about hygiene and assisting schools. That I got into a dental hygiene program, and that thing became a residual thing. I was there probably every year. I think it was twice a year, because they transitioned. Hygiene was like a year-round operation. So every time a new class would roll through, it might have been every 4 or 6 months. I can't remember, but at least I was there twice a year for about 8 or 9 years. So I got in there one time, and then she kept having me back. So a lot of these schools are residual. Same thing with assisting. Assisting was like once a year. But just right there, between hygiene and assisting, that was 3 talks a year. That was like every single year. And I would go and I would talk to 30 people, 30 kids, 30 students. Don't say they don't have money. They have parents' money, right? So don't think, oh my gosh, they're not going to spend. There would be afternoons, because of my lunch talks at dental offices, where I would say over 50% of my adjusting hour, like I would go and adjust in the afternoon from like say 3 to 6. I swear over 50% of the people there were either hygienists, they were dental assistants, and a few dentists would come in as well. So it was a niche that was really good for us for a lot of years. So look into, do some research and see if there's any assisting schools or hygiene schools in your area that would allow you to. They always love speakers. Hey, can I come and talk to your students about posture and stretches and exercises and how to stay fit despite a ergonomically challenging profession? Like this is what you can do to prolong your career as a hygienist. Of course you're gonna, hey, I'll bring you free lunch, by the way. Who's gonna turn that down? So do a search in your area, see if they have that stuff. But are there more than this? Probably yes. But yeah, that's the whole continuing ed thing is what got me into damn near every. But here's how you do this thing. So get a list. infousa.com. That's where I got my list. So it's a spreadsheet. Now, can you go to Google? Yes, you can go to Google and start searching, go 10 pages deep. Problem with that, there's probably dentists that don't even have a website. I would hope not. In this 2020, I would hope that they're all, but they could be on page 13. They could be on, you might not go deep enough to hit them all. So InfoUSA, that's where we got our list. You go to those guys, and what we did is say, hey, I want a list of every dentist within a 20-mile radius. I think maybe we did 25, but whatever. 20-mile radius that has at least 5 or more employees. Okay, because you can kind of dictate how much money they make or whatever. But I wanted at least 5 people, because I did a talk once, and there was 3 people there. That's an awkward lunch talk when there's 3 people. I'm like sitting. I'm like, this is too awkward for me to stand, and there's 3 people sitting there. So I sat down, and it was weird. So I said, from now on, you got to have at least 5 people there, or I'm not going to go. So 5 people. But that's what you can do with InfoUSA is, hey, give me a list of all the dental offices within a 25-mile radius or 20-mile radius that has at least 5 or more employees. Work off of that list. Okay, and do this. You can do the same thing for all these other. Hey, give me a list of orthodontist offices, ortho clinics, and in real estate, and you can kind of do the same thing for all these things. Now, it's been many years since I've got that list, but you'd have to check. I know they had a minimum at some point, maybe $200 or $250. You'll have to do that research yourself. But this was the system. We would send this mailer out. I'm thinking we sent it out Wednesdays. It's either Tuesdays or Wednesdays. But we sent it like kind of early to midweek. We would follow up that following midweek. We never did follow-ups on Friday because a lot of times they were closed. And where I'm at, there's a lot of lakes, and people get on the highway and get the hell out of the cities on the weekends, right? So they shut it down early on Fridays, and so Fridays were a bad day to follow up. But basically, our system was we sent 10, right? Send 10 flyers or mailers like this, and we would follow up the following Wednesday or Thursday. You could do Tuesday too, but middle of the week. So send it middle of the week, follow up the following, middle of that following week, and it's just, hey, this is so-and-so calling from Dr. Manny's office. Last week we sent a mailer talking about a free continuing ed credit and free lunch. Did you guys get it? And from there it's a yes or no. Yeah, yes. Well, first you want to talk to the office manager, not the person answering the phone, unless they're the first saying, hey, can I talk to the office manager? Okay, you get that person on the phone. Hey, we sent a mailer last week, and it's about offering a free continuing ed credit along with free Jimmy John's. Did you get that? And if yes, great. Well, what day of the week would work best for you guys? So you just ask, just assume that it's a yes. What day of the week would it work best for Dr. Mandy to come in and do a quick hour workshop on posture, stretches, exercises, inflammation, and how to stay healthy despite an ergonomically challenging profession? What day of the week works best? There it is, and they pick. Tuesdays work. Okay, boom. Then we set it up. I send them a fax. Well, at the time we were sending fax. These days you could probably just shoot over an email of the sign-up sheet, and it's like boom, 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 boom. Okay, I got 11 people scheduled, and this is the sandwich they want. 2, 4, 6, 8, whatever else. So that was the system, right? It was 10. I didn't want to get overwhelmed. But it was like 10, and then my receptionist would call the 10 the following week. So it's a system of 10. Now, could you do a system of 20? Yes. But this is what worked for us. When we'd send 10, we'd get at least one call of somebody. They were calling us, hey, yes, let's get scheduled because I want this talk, and I want free CE credit, and I want free lunch. So about 10% of the time, you'll get people calling you back in terms of the CE credit. Not so much. We also had a generic mailer that was nothing about CE credit, and we sent that out to real estate and this kind of stuff. So that was a system. So you can run with it. But yeah, like you said, if you want that flyer, just throw a comment below and I'll get it to you. And then so the other question this doc had was like, how do you go about converting them, from an educational event to buying the testing? So the first chunk of that workshop was giving them tips, tools, and strategies, exercises, posture, that kind of stuff. That kind of got me into a lot of them. But then slowly over time, I sort of transitioned to mostly being about functional medicine because that's where the interest was. Like, let me give you this story, and then I'll kind of wrap this thing up. This was the first talk that I did at a real estate office. There's about 30 people there, like 25 or 30 people, and I talked about the spine and stretches and exercises. I had my spine there, right? I don't do any PowerPoint. I was very low tech. Like I'm not messing with slides, and I just went there and talked, right? I just shared the story. For this one, I did have my nervous system chart, right? So I had the poster, right? So I sat there for 30 minutes. I was talking about above, down, inside out, power that made the body heals the body, bone out, irritate nerve, cause problems, right? Shuts off the message from the brain down, and the whole 9 yards. And I was just like zombies, right? There was no engagement. There was no interaction. They were bored off their mind. Finally, a gal in the back, she's like, and I've told this story before, but she's like, how do I lose like 30 pounds in 30 days or 30 pounds in 40 days, whatever it is? Because at the time, we just started doing HCG, these homeopathic HCG drops under the tongue. And we were selling for like $5.95. And we just started getting into that, it's Kevin Trudeau thing and the weight loss cures. They don't want you to, you get the idea, HCG. That was red hot about 10 years ago. So we started doing that, and the gal's like, hey, how do I lose all this weight? And so then I got into a tangent about foods and what not to eat and inflammation. We talked about restricting calories and lowering carbohydrates, and we talk about supplementation, and it's just like, boom, hey, I take this supplement. Do you recommend this? Boom, I have this going on with my gut and blah, blah, blah. Can you help me with this? Like the interest level, just like the hands started shooting up, and she was like, how much is your weight loss program? And I said, it's like $600, right? It's $5.95. And I said, but you know what? Looks like a lot of interest here. So if I get at least 10 or more people that want to do that, I'll knock $200 off. So then it took them from $5.95 down to $490, like $400. And I had 13 people do it. I made over $5,000 in like 15 minutes because I talked about chiropractic about 30 minutes. That last 15, 20 minutes was all like weight loss and supplementation. And like I made the $5,000 of that. I'm like, what in the world? Why am I messing around trying to pull teeth, trying to get $20 copays and $30 here, $20 here, $40 here, when I'm just closing case fees? So we took that model, this weight loss, we started, and then we plowed a bunch of people through HCG. And I'm going on a rant. I apologize, but it's important. I went on this. I put a ton of people through HCG, and some people would lose 3 pounds in a week. The next person would lose 10 pounds in the week. Doing the exact same thing, eating the exact same foods, right? The same fruits, the same vegetables. Why was it this discrepancy? We tied food testing into it. That took these people that are losing 2 or 3 pounds a week. That's okay. Now we're cranking this thing into high gear. So now we started food testing. We cranked up the case fee. We started running radio. Radio is what allowed us to expand into multiple clinics because now we had people coming driving 2 hours to get food tested. And it's like, well, let's put a location up north, and so that's what got us into Regis. And we're bouncing around from corporate office space, bouncing around 4 offices, and we scaled that. The weight loss section of our practice was over 50,000 a month, right? 50,000. We're cracking that very easily, very consistently. And then what happens? the spies come, right? Here come the CAs, and I know who the doctors are around my office. I was on their website saying, so spies come. The receptionists from other clinics come. You can tell if somebody, you're sitting knee to knee with somebody, and you can tell if somebody's there for the right reasons or the wrong reasons. But spies came, and I think 3 or 4 of them. I was like, okay, yeah, I think you're from another clinic. I don't think you're really here to lose weight. I could tell. You can just tell when you got spies in front of you. So I got so frustrated with that. I was like, God. I told my wife, and my wife was like, you know what? Why don't you just create a weight loss or a program, a coaching program, where you show other doctors how to do this exact same thing and just give it to them. So at that point, we started. It was called the weight loss practice, right? That's how the whole coaching thing started. Started the weight loss practice, and we created a program called Slim and Trim, and we put that into about 100 clinics. I think maybe 110 clinics. And what happened is that patients started losing weight, but then they're also getting off their cholesterol medications. They started getting off their blood pressure medications. They started sleeping better. Their inflammation was there. Like, doc, I have less pain. I have less back pain, joint pain, neck pain, headaches. And so, like, damn it, we pigeonholed ourselves by calling this thing Slim and Trim. We should have called it something else where we could extend it into these. So we changed the name Slim and Trim into TriWell. And that's what TriWell is today. And it's a 3-pronged approach, right? Sensitivities, deficiencies, and toxicities. So that's the system. That's what's built into the inner circle stuff. And then we have all the marketing that's wrapped around it. But so that's kind of how this whole thing got started. It started with this talk right here, right? This real estate office where it asks everybody in the, get on the back, how do I lose all this weight? And this is how. And it's like people, it was just like boom, started closing big case fee after. And then when I'm in my chiropractic clinic, I would adjust somebody, and it was like $20 here. People would piss and moan about a $20 copay, and then I'd go into the next room, and it's like weight loss program, $14.95 or whatever. Okay, let's do it. So that's what got us out of chiropractic and doing 100% functional medicine stuff. So anyway, kind of a rant, kind of a tangent, but that's the system, you guys. And then I also gave people like my list of toxins. So like at the end of that workshop, now to answer this question of transitioning people from like an educational, my talk is my talk. It's sensitivities, deficiencies, and toxicities. So my lunch talk is the same as like a hygiene talk. It's the same. It's the same as my in-office talk, right? It's talking about toxins and inflammation, and we talk about these different conditions. So what I did is I don't have an example, but like a sample report, like a laminated report of food testing, and I would pass it around. And people say, oh my gosh, this person reacted to green beans. This person reacted to spinach and all these different foods. And they were just fascinated by this graph. And this oh my gosh, this person should not be consuming green beans. They were just amazed by it. And then so we had people, hey, this is how you get tested. And some people would come into the office, and then I'd say, hey, wait, I can send you a kit too. Some people, I was like, they call the office and, hey, I'll send you a kit because I was far away from the office. They're far away, so we just ship them the kit and they test themselves. But I also give them a list of toxins too. Like I know it's hard to see, but the whole sensitivity, deficiencies, and toxicities. I tell patients, if a food has 27 ingredients, it's not a food. Right? It was manufactured in a laboratory by a food chemist who's got one job, and that's to make that food taste good, so that you come back for more and more. And they're fascinated by stuff. So I give everybody that attends. They get my toxin sheet, right? There's about 50 toxins. It used to be 7, but now there's 50 of these suckers that I say, hey, Mary, go to your fridge and start cleaning out your pantry, clean out your fridge. And if you see any of these ingredients, it's doing more harm than good, get rid of it. So that's kind of the third foundation of the TriWell system is let's just minimize toxins, right? The high fructose corn syrup, preservatives, nitrates, MSG, trans fats, colors, dyes, aspartame. You get the idea. You've heard me say that stuff before. So that's the talk, and that's how I transition. So I would bring some sample reports, laminated reports, pass them around, and show people, hey, but just bridge it into inflammation. People understand the inflammation story. That inflammation is at the root cause of heart disease and cancer and diabetes and all these different itises, all the itises, bursitis and tendonitis and arthritis in your hands and plantar fascia, any sort of form of itis. Right, that's inflammation, and there's a dietary component to handling inflammation. Could some of it be or overuse repetitive? Yes, but the key idea here is just to clean up their diet and reduce that systemic inflammation in their body. You'll see some change. Okay, so all right, guys, I'll let you go. Hopefully this training was helpful. Like I said, if you have any questions, throw them in the comments below. If you want my list of toxins, I can also load this too. To the page if I get enough interest. Otherwise I'm not gonna. How about this? 10 comments. If I get 10 comments beneath this video, I will create a one-page sheet, one-page site, an extension, long tail extension, where you can go in and grab my flyer, my lunch doc flyer, the exact same one and you pay a geek on Fiverr, pay him $5, and hey, swap out my content for yours, and then I'll get you that flyer, and I'll get you my list of toxins if you want this too. I'm not going to mess around with emailing and all that stuff. So don't say, hey, email. No, all this stuff, by the way, is if you're a part of the inner circle, it's in the back office or Dropbox. It'll be in the Dropbox folder, my lunch doc system. So slides, PowerPoint. Even though I don't do that, I went and I was low tech. I don't want to mess around with slides and computers and PowerPoints and all that stuff. I was very low tech. I just went there and I told the damn story. This is what it is. This is how we can help you. If you're struggling with XYZ, what we're doing is a free consultation. Okay, and that's how we did it. And so it was, that's how I wrapped it up. Either you want the help and we can help, or you don't, right? And it's just a numbers game. And it's just, hey, I'm going to do 3 talks. I'm going to do 2 or 3 talks a week, and I would just go out and we drum up chiropractic patients for it, and we drum up functional medicine patients and weight loss and all sorts of other conditions and autoimmune conditions that people are struggling with. So, all right, guys, it's cold. My hands are cold. Check this out. This is stupid. Let me see if I can get over here. Let me leave you with some encouragement. Look at this, 2 degrees. And it was way worse this morning. And then tomorrow we're supposed to get about 10 inches of snow. So there it is, guys. Hope you found value. If you did, please smash that like button, and we'll see you in the next video.